us facing England, right? So the first few things before I'll allow you to give yours, is I would feel that from an England point of view, us facing England, the two things that concern me, I do think we can beat England, right? If we go look at the history in World Cups, we have taken them out in many World Cups and finals, and we've been their one foe in World Cups. I do believe we can beat them. I do believe they haven't had the form, but the two concerns for me, the one concern would be that we go in after this big match with, like, you know, almost felt like we played it out and that was the final, and we come in a bit below par, just in the sense of not with the same type of fight, and kind of like a bit underestimating England. And I would say on the other side, looking at the English, they will feel this is a quarterfinal. This is a semi-final. We got nothing to lose here. We've had a poor form the whole year, so it puts them on this big pedestal. And on the day, they come with all this history between the Springboks, and I would just wanted to say that, like, I'm just a little bit there. We shouldn't overlook them. I feel from a All Blacks Argentina point of view, I just feel the All Blacks will be too much. But we've seen some close games. England beat us 2 years ago, I think, on Twickenham. It's not our home stadiums. That's usually where we beat England. But we've had the better of England. But the question would just be, like, we shouldn't overlook these guys for 1 minute, because I think it's going to be a close game. A lot of people might say, no, I mean, look, they almost lost to Samoa, whatever. It's a totally different thing now. We in the semis. Sorry, I keep saying quarters. I'm just confused. Semis. And I just feel we're in the semis, and this is going to be big, man. It's not going to be an easy game. It's probably going to be an epic battle as well. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely... You shouldn't make the mistake and think the English side that's going to be rocking up is the same English side that lost to Fiji before the World Cup, or that, you know, was struggling for form before the World Cup. The reality of it, they are the only undefeated team left in the World Cup at the moment.
True that.
You know, they've definitely, like, kind of upped their performances, and, you know, maybe a couple of unexpected games, they made it a little bit harder than it should have been. But they were able to find the result at the end of the day. So, you know, they definitely, I reckon,
got a
still
point
have
to
that dog
prove,
in them,
though.
where they just want to, where they want to fight.
Yeah.
And the Boks won't be making themselves or doing themselves any favors if they make the same mistake the ABs did in 2019, where, you know, they thought the most important player for the semi-final was the bus driver to get them to the stadium. You know, that's definitely going to need to rock up to the party, otherwise they might get upset.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is maybe just a little bit, you go to that semis thinking, oh, this is an easy game, a little bit off in some of your parts of your game, and that could cost you. So it's just something that I felt, you know, they're going to have a point to prove. They're going to come with that fire that we went into this game against France, and are we going to go in with that same fire? And I think Rassie and them will do their job to fire up the players, but that's just the only thing I think for... It's almost like that's the problem with the kind of lopsided pools, where amazing quarterfinals, probably all like finals. It feels like two definite finals there that we just watched, you know. And then suddenly you go into those semis and it's like, and you're just concerned that those guys are not having that up tempo going into those games, kind of underestimating it. And then obviously a crazy final again if both teams progress, you know. So it's just, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I suspect that we might see a bit of a shift in tactics back to, like, our more standard, consolidated kind of form, and, you know, the kind of game that you were talking about earlier, where...
What do you think the team's going to be like? Let's start with, what do you think the split's going to be? Nah, I'm going to put you on the spot again. What do you think the split's going to be?
Man, I don't even know if I wanted to guess. Like
It's too
we're not
confusing,
playing
eh?
chess on the same board as Rassie
No, we're not.
and the team. I mean, the team they selected for France was so unexpected. And
Try and think
you
like
know,
Rassie. That's what I want to know.
to a specific plan. But yeah, somehow I think we probably be going back to the 6-2 split for this one.
Yeah.
If I have to like put a wager down on it, or pick a side.
I don't do wagers on the Springboks. We'll just lose.
I'd probably go back to the 6-2, and I think we'll. I don't think the English side poses like necessarily the same threats that we faced this past weekend.
No.
I don't think the crowd will be as intimidating. They'll have a big support because it's pretty close to home, and I'm sure they'll pull the largest contingent of the crowd. But I still don't think it will be to the level of like the home side crowd that we faced this past weekend. So I think the crowd will be less of a factor, and just the fact that I think the English side has less like attacking threats. They'll probably also play a little bit more of a territorial game, and they tend to kick it out a little bit more if you do the deeper kicks. So I think there'll be a bit of a shift in tactics for this one, and we might just see the good old fashioned bash it up rugby from the box, and any cards that's left in the cupboard will be left in the cupboard for the final. If the guys reach it, or if they somehow find themselves behind on the scoreboard, then you'd maybe see them pull out a couple of the tricks that they've got planned for the final. But I think Rassie will try and keep some secrets if it's possible.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't know, and I can't say yes you're going to be right or wrong like we've had these chats before. I mean, 6-2 again. Like if they could go that way, they could go. They won't go 7-1. They'll definitely go 6-2. But I actually think they're going to go 5-3. I'm going to go out there again and say what I think Rassie and them will do. I'm not thinking what I would do. Honestly, I don't think I would necessarily do the stuff these guys do. But it's come off for them with the French. But let me tell you, they run it in very close. We could have been sitting here today and saying, oh, if they just did this or just did that. But it came off. So that's done. We won the game. Going into this game, I actually think they'll go 5-3. I think they'll bring in I think will definitely play in this game. And I think they're going to stick with those combinations because they want to build those combinations of Marnie and Kobus Reinach and Faf de Klerk and Pollard. So I think will come into the mix. I think they'll take off one of the wingers that was currently playing, maybe a Colby or something, and they'll bring in someone like a Moody. And yeah, what else do I think? I don't know if they'll play Estrays, and that might be a bit of a reach in a quarters. But I do think they'll make quite a few changes. I do think they can bring in a Moody, because what the Springboks do that they've said before, that I've heard them say in the press conferences, they like to spread the load. And even though it's the semis, they would still spread the load because they know they've got one game left, and they still want to. They've got that game and another game left, and they want to rest some players for that final, but not weaken the team. So because they've created so much depth, a Orense off for a Moody is not really a loss. On for a Krill is not a loss. So kind of just those positions where they know they're changing players, but the players are not really a loss for them. I think they'll make those changes, and I think they're gonna want to give I think they're still going to play in this World Cup. And I do think they'll stick to those two combinations, because I think they'll keep playing this one half combination and the other half combination, And I think they probably stick to a Marnie starting first and a Pollard second, and keep sticking to the running first half. If they start changing the way they play, I don't know. It doesn't look like it anymore. It looks like Springboks really want to play running rugby. For the most part. I mean, apart from that one game against Ireland, I've not really seen them. They've been playing a lot of running rugby. Maybe that's just a new page for them. I could be wrong. I'm not, Rian, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just going
Yeah.
with my opinions. I'm throwing it out there. You got to be honest. I didn't do too badly the last time. You got to acknowledge that. I didn't do too badly. I did call Pollard will come on second off. I did tell you Marnie would start. So, but I wasn't thinking out of my mind. I was thinking out of this crazy Rassie mind. So I'm just trying to again throw some crazy stuff out there. I think Moody will be on there. I think will be on there, and I think he's going to make these trades just because it's not losses in player positions. They're very good. These players that's going to come on.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on the call. If you just not even just for the fact that they've pulled up into the squad, and he's a good player, so he'll probably get some game time. Give him a run, see if he's ready to be called on in the final if needed. But I think just if you have a look how bashed up Creel was after this game, they might actually just want to either give him a short game or give
him a rest.
Give him a week to heal up, because that coming off the field looked like he was in a boxing match rather than a rugby match. True. They might tweak around with the wings a little bit.
I reckon someone like a Visa might come in the mix again. They might rest Dwayne for this game.
I think they'll probably put in Visa for this one and rest up Vermeulen for the final.
And then maybe Marcus van Staden for someone. I don't know, because they might feel they can afford this against the French, against the English. But that's the thing, is as soon as they start taking too many fetches away, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for the Springboks, because their fetches are really, really good at the moment, in the form of a Kwacha. A Dwayne was really good again. So, yeah, we'll see. But, I mean, geez, we got to check.
Possibly Dion Ferry might start and Bongi played off the bench. Because
that could be a risk with the lineup.
But Bongi had a huge run this past weekend, and he took a couple of big knocks. So maybe try and reduce his load on this game. Have him on the bench.
Maybe you're right, but
if he's going sideways, they'll put him on.
Furry is not great with that throw-ins. Like, he's not the best. So, but maybe, because I don't. Maybe they're going confident, but that might be the biggest risk for us as well. Changing too much on that bench, because I've got a feeling they're gonna change that bench. They're gonna change the team. They're gonna make some changes because they've said it before that they trust in their 23 and they believe they can all do the job and they want to spread the load. So it's got to be because it's the right type of team to say, let's change, make some changes. So, we'll see.
It's also a completely different opponent. So I think, it justifies picking a different format of squad, or team for the game. Because, I don't think the game will be played at the same kind of pace. And, make no mistake, the English didn't have an easy game against Fiji. They, in my opinion, were pretty lucky making it through there.
They were.
They probably, of all four the quarterfinals of the weekend, they probably had the most luck with the ref. Like all the other games, the officiating, there was definitely, quite a bit to desire on the accuracy, but in my opinion, kind of evened out at least. And like the bad call in the first half, like kind of got evened out with a big bad call in the other direction in the second half. Where their game, I think Fiji maybe.
Fiji could have won.
If anybody wants to complain this week, there was a couple of howlers against them, and it seemed that the 50-50s was just going one way. They never seemed to be on the right side.
Well, it's the last Northern Hemisphere team left. They were like, oh no, this is all we got left. So maybe it's that. But I mean, Geez, I mean, Fiji actually ran it in pretty close, and look, I mean, at the end, I felt the Fijians just allowing too much space there for that drop kick, but it was, you know, the Fijian type game. You can't expect anything else. But I mean, they came back. They were out of the game almost kind of like first half, and they just came back hammer and tongs, chasing back into that game, which was fabulous to see from Fiji. But it just a little bit, coming a little bit short. And exactly what we are saying there, I think will happen against the Springboks. I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think. It's going to be a tough game. But at the end, the Springboks will just have too much for the English. I would love to see the Springboks actually just kind of like blow it out. Like blow it out for a change. Because we know the All Blacks have done it many times. There's been teams in semis that the one team just blows it out a bit. But not often. But it has happened. It has happened in past World Cups. So... especially All Blacks have been managed to do that in previous World Cups. No, they have. Like if you go look at semis, there's been those ones. I would actually love to see that from the Springboks, but if it's going to be the case, I don't know. It's just going to be like, whew, there's going to be that whole place, like we were saying with the French being packed. It's going to be packed like that with English. There will be just as much English there. So yeah, but Springboks for the win, man.
I don't think so. You know, the guys will, if they go out to play and, you know, play the running game, they'll, like from 2019, you could see it in that tournament where, you know, the guys played bash it up rugby, just run it straight, show nothing. And whenever they were under scoreboard pressure, they'll pick the pace up like 5-10 minutes, get a score or two, you know, ease the pressure off the scoreboard, maybe take a small lead, and then they just go back into bash it up rugby. Yeah. And only once they got to the final, they played a full game of like let's play.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I reckon the Boks will probably follow that like kind of format where
you think it'll be a bash it up, play it up front, play phases. I want to see some of that. I want to see some of it. You know what I don't like? No, honest. It's not that I like that boring rugby. I love running rugby, but I do want to see us take control of games. You can say what you want. This is Springbok. You can be really happy with this win. We've beaten teams like the All Blacks. We've beaten the French before. We just felt we had control of a game. There was no control over this game for me against the French. It felt like it was a back forth, hammer and tongs, and it came to be a win. What I mean with the control is, you know, building phases and getting scoreboard pressure, converting your points, building some phase, running with the ball, holding on to possession, playing in the opposition half, trying to win some territorial battle, playing the opposition half, playing through phases, forcing mistakes, building scoreboard pressure. I haven't seen that for a while from the Springboks. I just love to see that because I think we might need some of that in the finals. I do think so. I don't think we can just run like we did against the French with the All Blacks. That's just my opinion. I don't think so. I think we're going to have to be a bit more patient with the ball in hand, you know. There wasn't enough phases for me in this game and set pieces generally from a Springbok. That's our strength.
Yeah, but that's also, you know, not necessarily due to the lack of effort from our side.
No, it's not an effort thing. It's just a game plan.
It's just, I don't even think it's the game plan. You know, that's just us not being that much better than the French on that game where, you know, the French played a good game. And
we're not going to be if we try and run them. Look, it's, I hear you.
But their strength is also, you know, to not put us in a position where we can play that set phase and play off our set pieces, where they force the pace and keep it alive. And
all I'm saying is if we had another 10 to 15 minutes in the set pieces, we would have started crumbling that scrum. You could see Nche was like pushing to those. We didn't use it enough. We didn't play to it enough. And I just feel that we could have done more. But hey, we won, so who cares? But I definitely think the English we're gonna have to we will take. I can't see us not you know, knocking those guys out. It's going to be a tough one, but it might be famous last words. And next week, you know, I clip this and I'm like, oh, what did I say? But I really don't. I just feel we will, after pushing through this one, I cannot see us not coming with that kind of grit. I just hope there's enough, you know, they don't go for just like totally changing the team, which I don't believe they will. Then I think we'll pull this one through. What's your prediction? You think it definitely a win?
I reckon
definitely a win. Must be.
We've definitely got the ability to get the win, and you know, as long as the players are fit to go, and it didn't look like we've got any major injuries, so that's a good thing. And yeah, I reckon we'll probably 8 to 10 points kind of margin. I think on this game.
I think it's very realistic. That's realistic, I think. Yeah, I could go there and I could say even more maybe, but definitely not less in my opinion. I don't think it'll be a 3-4 point game. So I think it's a good call. I think so.
Yeah, I think the Boks will try and keep it outside of the score. And
the impact again is going to be too much for the English. I think our impact when if they do the same and they play that, you know, fresh legs of a Pollard and another scrum off come on. If they go that way, plus, you know, the likes of a Quagga coming on. But I don't know, like, I do feel a Quagga is still needed in this game. Quagga hasn't played that many games, you know, so play these guys, you know, and let's just close it out, in my opinion, you know. That's where I think the All Blacks go differently. They try and hold on to their players in many ways, like towards the end of the game. They don't just make changes. We make changes, but I'm happy with those changes that we make to make the impact, and that's why I feel, you know, let's keep making the impact, but get the right players on the field. Don't just change the whole team like Estrazen and Moody and like we've done in the playoffs. I just don't think that would be clever. Yeah, so Rian, for joining me again for another podcast, I just have to say thanks, mate. Like always, like mate, as the guys say in the other podcasts, I appreciate it. I really do. You know, having someone, like I've said before, to chat to and give opinions. And it's lovely that we have different opinions. That's what makes it so awesome. So really, thank you for always coming on the show and joining me. And hopefully you'll become, you'll become famous and you can give out signatures. Yeah, right. Not on my channel. Go look for another channel. I'm not that big, but we'll get there. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you.
That's all good. It's always fun having a chat about the Ruggers.
Of course. No, it was awesome like always, and bouncing off ideas. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know, hit the subscribe button below, and we're going to catch you in the next one. Remember, if you hit the subscribe button, you will appear on that home screen, and you'll see more of my ugly face and that guy's ugly face. See you in the next one. Bye.